everyone, Unity North. Welcome to our Wisdom of the 100-Acre Wood. I'm Reverend Julie and I am here at Unity North Campus. And we are just getting started. We wanted to give you just a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going on behind here. Since you are out there and we are here, we want you to be a part of it. So I think I might see Winnie the Pooh right here. So let's say hello.
Oh, Father. I'm just so tired from giving my sweet treats away, and there's a rumbling in my tummy.
Oh, Pooh. What do you have there for us?
I have sweet treats of honey, but everyone wants them, and they keep taking my honey.
Well, could I have one? Then I will. Pooh, we know there's enough honey for everybody.
I suppose I have honey in my honey pot.
Yes, you do. Well, we're going to see you in a little bit, okay?
Oh,
All right, thanks, Pooh. Are there other characters to see?
I believe my friend Owl is just down the line.
All right, let's go see Owl.
I know where Owl is.
You know where Owl is?
Yeah.
So this is the organic garden at Unity North.
I'll take one.
Can I trade?
And this is Rude. Can you say hi to everybody? You're on TV Room. Say hello.
Hello.
Whose is it?
All right. So we have an organic garden here that we work, and we have so many awesome vegetables and a fig tree and all sorts of stuff. And we have put together a wonderful trail. So if you have not been back here in the woods,
This one will be fine.
follow me.
Okay.
Owl,
But I'll look.
we are on Facebook Live. Owl, what are you up to? Is this your tree?
This is my tree and my friend Owl. And I'm handing out glow sticks to people to light their path.
Ooh. May I have one?
Yes.
I would. Thank you so much. We've got Rue here, so thank you for sharing your house with us, and we're going to see you again in a few minutes, okay? All right.
Okay, you guys are going.
This is Jay Schofield again. We've met.
Hello, everybody.
He is our gardener hold on. He's our gardener extraordinaire.
Yeah.
And remind me, because I forgot, who made these trails?
Well, we all did. The garden team. The garden team for 10 years we've been working back here. And there's many people that have put their energies and love in.
Well, I did not see them until a couple months ago, so I'm so glad we get to highlight
Everybody's
it.
going, well, I didn't know this was here. Well, come on
That's
around.
what we're here about today,
Well,
so.
we're here.
So who
All
are
right,
you?
enjoy the walk.
I'm
Thank
Owl.
Bye.
Owl?
All right, so first up, we've got mandala, rock mandala. I don't know if you can see here in the dark, but Sonia Osio, who does our mandalas, and the YOU put this together. So there's a bench to rest on. We're on the trail.
Can we play dancers?
Come on, Rue. So as you see, the path is lined. It's pretty in the daytime. You'd be able to see it a little better, but it's very well lit. In the daytime, not well lit. It's well laid out. We are going the wrong way. I have got Facebook with me, so. Hi.
Is it time for everybody to go?
No, this is Facebook. We went live.
Oh, goodness,
Tigger.
I better be Tigger.
Hi, Tigger. What's up?
Hello. Well, I'm just bouncing because that's what Tiggers do.
Yes.
Because I'm a T-I-double-G-R.
T-I-double-G-R. And we are so excited to have you.
Remember a ball you give me, Ticker?
Yeah.
I do remember. Do you still have it? That's amazing because those bouncy balls, they really love to bounce, 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 just like me. They can bounce, bounce, bounce away.
Well, thank you, Tigger. We're going to see you in a few minutes.
My
Right.
sound
Yeah,
came into a garden.
It does into a garden, just
You
like
think we might see
bouncy
a
balls like they
heffalump?
do.
No.
You don't think we'll see a heffalump, Rue?
Oh, I'm scared of them.
You're so brave, Rue. Where's your mama Kanga? She's back at the house?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I see somebody up here. Here comes Facebook. Here comes Facebook. Who do we have here?
This is Eeyore.
Hi, Eeyore.
I'm all alone in the woods with no friends. I have no friends.
What are your donkey balls?
Does she have friends? Does
Will you be
Eeyore?
my friend?
You
will?
Do you guys want to go on an adventure together?
I have something for you.
You know what he got from, but I didn't.
How about this?
Think.
Magic.
Can I have a bracelet? Can you tell me what that's about?
Yes, and this is when you need to love yourself no matter what, to remember that you are loved and divine.
Can I hold the lantern?
I'm gonna hold the lantern so we don't trip, but thank you, Eeyore, because I know sometimes you're a little gloomy, but we know that we all have bad days, but we are divine, we are loved, and thank you for the bracelet.
Yes,
All right.
and thank you for
In
being
about
my friend.
3 minutes, you can head up, and we're gonna do the second part of the program, so be very careful, take your light,
Yes.
since it's very
You
dark.
had a glow stick.
All right, Facebook,
I will
there are
go
more
around.
trails back there, but we are
I
gonna
can hear the dark.
leave
Okay?
that for another day.
You have yellow. I can only hear yellow today.
All right, people are still coming into the
Film.
forest.
Film.
They're looking for you.
Yes, film. Towel.
Yeah?
Owl's looking for you.
Al, let's go see Kanga real quick. I got Facebook here. Oh, Kanga, I found you. And we're on Facebook Live.
Can I grab?
All right, we've got our Roo. Say hi, Kanga.
Look, look,
Roo
look.
has been helping us in the forest.
Whoa.
So in about 2 minutes, you guys are done. All right.
Can I grab?
Go on,
Oh, I need to get a lantern. I have a lantern.
All right, Facebook. Hey, guys. All these kids, it's so great to see them.
I help him go.
Leaders of the class.
Right
Winnie
here.
the Pooh, will you bring some lanterns over to there when you're done? In about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes, I will do that.
All right. So we have King of Pops here. They're going to be back with us in December to make really awesome homemade popsicles. We have people have been drawing with the chalk, and this is all about celebrating the inner child. We've got children here that are out, and it's time for us to, as adults, remember our love. So we're going to stop by here, Facebook Live, say hello. Oh, are you having fun?
I'm going to ask everyone to get situated. We're going to start here in about 3 minutes. We're live on Facebook right now, so I hope that you all paying attention and waving to all the people that are watching this on Facebook and YouTube.
All right, so I'm going to leave you with Wes. He's going to take you around to see us here, and we'll see you back for the program. We're going to be talking all about the spirituality.
I know you did. Thank you so much.
So all of you at the Labyrinth, unless you want to be on YouTube and Facebook tonight, we're going to invite you to come on up. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I hope you've been having a good time walking around the 100-acre woods and meeting the characters. And I hope you enjoyed the wonderful meal provided by the Vafadari family. There they are. They're still here. Give them a round of applause for all the love that they bring to Unity North. I want to thank everyone for being here this evening, and I want to thank all the people that have been participating in the characters and informing you a little bit about the 100-acre woods. I'm glad that you were here tonight. I'm going to invite everybody into a place of childlike awe. I'm going to invite you to suspend for just a moment your thinking nature, your adult thinking nature, and allow yourself to drop down into the inner child and allow yourself to have that sense of awe and wonder, adventure, and exploration here this evening. We're going to do that through the simplicity of Winnie the Pooh and the complexity of Taoism. It's amazing how they go together, sort of a yin and yang, if you will. Before we get started, we want to take a moment to do a prayer. And in order to do that, I want to implement a few of the Taoist principles found in the 100-acre wood. And so we're going to get real still here for a second. The number one principle, as you close your outer eyes and drop down into the inner sanctuary of your very being, is to be who you are. There's no need to be anybody else but the magnificent, beautiful light of the world that you are. No pretending here tonight, no airs, no apologies, just breathing as you. That's step number one. Take a deep breath and be you. Step number two, when you allow yourself to be you, you can begin to feel as one with the nature around us. The wisdom of the 100-acre woods is to pay attention to Mother Nature. So listen to the sounds of nature around you. As David and Liz Castellini like to do, let's forest bathe for a minute. Be one with the sky and the trees, the sounds, the breeze, the coolness. Also a principle of Taoism. And the last step before we go into our prayer is simply to reside in the space. To reside in the space where you are right now. To be nowhere else. For this moment in time, to allow yourself to be fully present to the space that you are in. And then as we share a lot of words this evening, I invite you to be in the spaces between the words. Be in the spaces between the sounds of both nature and those coming over the microphone. And allow yourself to be in the spaces between your thoughts, because that's where magic happens. That's where love and goodness and God happens. We reside in the silence beyond the sound and the noise, and allow ourselves to be completely empty. What does it feel to be completely empty? From that place, we go into a moment of prayer as the means of taking the path to nothing, taking the path to nowhere, the place of right now, which is known as the enchanted place in Taoism, into what Taoists call Tai Su. Tai Su, the great nothingness, the place of empty mind. And so our prayer tonight is to cleanse ourselves of anything and everything, to be unwritten upon, releasing any obstacle or unimportant matter, and for us to just be nothing, be empty, be organically present to what is. Breathe together as a family. Breathe with me. Right here, right now, there is no need to be. There is no need to do. There is no need to think. There is no need to fix. Just pure being, knowing that all is in perfect and divine order. And so like a child, we enter the path of Tai Su, the 100-acre woods, the enchanted place. As we sit quietly and still for the wisdom that is beneath the knowledge. and the peace behind the not doing. Thank you, God, doing business as all creation. Amen. Christopher Robin and I walked along under branches lit up by the moon. If you know the song, sing with me. Posing out questions to our Annie Orr as our days disappeared all too soon. But I've wandered much further today than I should, and I can't seem to find my way back to the wood. So help me if you can. I've got to get back to the house at Blue Corner by one. You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. Count all the bees in the hive, chase all the clouds from the sky, back to the days of Christopher Robin and Prue. Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do, got a honey jar stuck on his nose. He came to me asking help and advice, and from here no one knows where he goes. So I sent him to ask of the owl if he said how to loosen a jar from the nose of a bear. So help me if you can. I've got to get back to the house in Blue Corner by one. You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. Count all the bees in the hive, chase all the clouds from the sky, back to the days of Christopher Robin and Prue. It's hard to explain how a few precious things seem to follow throughout all our lives. After all said and done, I was watching my son sleeping there with my bear by his side. So I tucked him in and kissed him, and as I was gone, I could swear that old bear whispered, "Boy, welcome home." So help me if you can. I've got to get back to the house in Blue Corner by one. You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. Count all the bees in the hive, chase all the clouds from the sky, back to the days of Christopher Robin. I long for the days of Christopher Robin. Back to the days of Christopher Robin and Prue. I invite you to go back to the days of Christopher Robin. I'm going to invite Richard Crower to come out now and offer us a little poem. I think that has some epaulets, some woozles and weasels and all that in there. Richard, all yours.
Weasels and sneezels. I know that. Christopher Robin had weasels and sneezels. They bundled him into his bed. They gave him what goes with a cold in the nose and some more for a cold in the head. They sent for some doctors and weasels and sneezels to tell them what ought to be done. And all sorts of conditions of famous physicians came scurrying round at a run. They all made a note of the state of his throat, and they asked if he suffered from thirst. They asked if the weasels came after the sneezels, or if the first sneasel came first. They expounded the reasons for weasels and sneezels, the manner of measles we knew, and they said, if he freezels, it droughts and in breezels, that feasels might even ensue. Well, Christopher Robin got up in the morning, the sneezels had vanished away, and the The stars in his eyes seem to say to the skies, now, what to amuse them today?
Thank you, Richard. You get the fun stuff. I got to do some serious stuff now. Oh, you know, as I mentioned before in the opening prayer in the song, the simplicity of the characters of Pooh and Piglet, Eeyore, Owl, Rabbit, and Roo, it can be deceptive. Each one of these characters represents something very important in the Taoist way. And each one of these characters represents something very important in us. They all live in us, just like the characters of the Bible live in us. So do the characters of the 100 Acre Woods. So before we get into the stories, and we're going to share some stories from the Tao of Pooh, just a tiny bit of background about each of these characters and what they represent. And of course, we must begin with the star of the show, Winnie the Pooh himself. Pooh Bear represents the totality of the Taoist principle. He is the completeness of the Taoist way. The whole of the teaching, which represents what Taoists call the uncarved block. Basically, a character that remains unwritten on, uncarved, pure potentiality. Pooh has a simple, uncluttered mind, and he can see things that most other people miss. You see, when we are uncarved, when we are open and receptive, we have a view that is more expansive. Again, a great paradox. Emptiness allows us to be more. Pooh listens to his inner voice, and he trusts his intuition as the uncarved block. The Pooh way, which is synonymous to Wu way in the Taoist tradition, is basically, in a nutshell, going with the flow. Not stressing, not worrying, but just going with the flow of what is. Thus our prayer to start off. Allowing life to be as it is. A block that remains uncarved represents unlimited possibility, unlimited potential of what it can do, or what it can become, or where it can go. A block that's once carved can only be one thing, the thing that it has become. He is the antithesis of some of the other characters that we will be hearing from tonight and what they represent. He represents a lot of the jewels of Taoism, two of the three jewels, moderation and humility. So I invite you to let your inner Pooh out tonight through moderation and humility. How about Rabbit? Those who know the story of the 100 Acre Woods, what do you think Rabbit represents? Doing. Scurrying around. Doing. Chasing rewards. Always looking for the next big thing. Always looking for the next thing to satisfy them. In the Buddhist tradition, that would be a hungry ghost. So busy that I'm missing life. He's too clever and busy to see or understand what is absolutely right in front of him. He thinks he has the answers, and his doing is actually in the way. He's busy, busy, busy. Anybody recognize Rabbit in yourself? My staff will tell you that oftentimes I resemble the rabbit. And I don't argue with them. The rabbit never stops to enjoy the moment. This is the antithesis of one of the jewels of Buddhism, which is moderation. Then there's Owl. I took the test. How many of you took the test on Facebook that Misty put out to see what character you are? I landed on Owl, and I was pretty excited about that until I read about what Owl represents. Overcomplication of simple concepts. Book smarts and not experience smarts, not street smarts. The Tao Te Ching, which is the book of Taoism, says the wise are not learned, and the learned are not wise. A bit of a paradox, which is rampant in Taoism. Taoism says that spiritual matters are above scholarly intellect. We in Unity teach that spiritual things must be spiritually discerned. And so many of us are trying to intellectualize truth, and we get in the way with our mind and our head. We accept things at their surface instead of always trying to dissect them. Some things just cannot be known. Not knowing is a good portion of Taoism. Now Eeyore is the simple one. He's the easy. What do you think Eeyore represents? Negative attitude. That's it. An attitude that gets in the way of hearing his own inner voice in his own inner wisdom. Complaints never, ever will create happiness. Piglet. Piglet is closest. If you read the books, Piglet is the closest to Pooh. And there's a reason for that, because he represents compassion, another big component of Taoism. The first jewel of the 3 jewels of Taoism is compassion. A lot of that compassion in the stories was turned to the self, as Piglet realized that he was much bigger than his small stature. I think of Maria over here, Fonseca. Yeah, she's a tiny little lady, but I tell you, come to our food drive, she works harder than any 10 men I know. And we realize that we are more than we've ever thought ourselves to be, and we find compassion for ourselves. We become brave and we become courageous. In many of the stories from the 100-Acre Wood, Piglet plays the hero. He has the right answer and shows up. That's why he's closest to Pooh. And then there's Tigger. Any Tiggers in the room? Ego. Human ego. Trying to be what you are not. The antithesis of Taoism. There is no peace with what you are when you are Tigger. Always trying to be something different. Tigger teaches us to be ourselves. He is the antithesis of one of those jewels, humility. And so we're going to move into some of the stories. I invite you, as you hear these stories, to listen for yourself, to see yourself, to hear yourself, and to feel yourself, and to know that there might be in these simple childlike stories some wisdom for you to get this evening from the 100-Acre Wood.
One day, Pooh and Piglet were sitting outside Pooh's front door, listening to Rabbit. It was a drowsy summer afternoon, and the forest was... Oh, let's get rid of this. Bridget, that harkens back to the first Christmas. One day, Pooh and Piglet were sitting outside Pooh's front door, listening to Rabbit. It was a drowsy summer afternoon, and the forest was full of gentle sounds, which all seemed to be saying to Pooh, "Don't listen to Rabbit, listen to me." So he got in a comfortable position for not listening to Rabbit.
Tigger's getting so bouncy nowadays that it's time we taught him a lesson. What do you say, Pooh?
Extremely.
Extremely what?
What you were saying, undoubtedly.
That's the point.
What's the point? I didn't hear you. I had fluff in my ear.
There's just too much Tigger. That's what it comes to.
Oh, I see.
Pooh tried to think, and all he could think of was something which didn't help at all. So he hummed it very quietly to himself.
If Rabbit was bigger and fatter and stronger, or bigger than Tigger, if Tigger was smaller than Tigger's bad habit of bouncing at Rabbit would matter no longer if Rabbit was taller.
What's that you say, Pooh? Any good?
No, no good.
Well, I've got an idea, and here it is. We take Tigger somewhere where he's never been, and we lose him there. And the next morning we find him again, and mark my words, he'll be a different Tigger altogether.
Why?
Because he'll be a humble Tigger, a sad Tigger, a melancholy Tigger, a small and sorry Tigger, and oh, Rabbit, I'm so happy to see you, Tigger, that's why.
I should hate him to go on being sad.
Tiggers never go on being sad. They get over it with astonishing rapidity. I asked Owl just to make sure, and he said that's what they always get over it with. But if we can make Tigger feel small and sad, just for 5 minutes, we shall have done a good deed.
And so off they went. At first, Pooh and Rabbit and Piglet walked together, and Tigger ran round them in circles. And then, when the path got smaller and narrower, Rabbit, Piglet, and Pooh walked one after another, and Tigger ran around them in oblongs. Tigger then appeared suddenly, bounced into Rabbit, and disappeared again.
Now!
Rabbit jumped into a hollow by the side of the path, and Pooh and Piglet jumped after him. Tigger looked around for a minute, and then he bounced away. Thinking they'd lost him, Rabbit, Pooh, and Piglet started home, only they were having a difficult time finding him.
The fact is, we've lost our way somehow.
They were resting in a sand pit, and Pooh was getting rather tired of seeing it and suspected it was following them about, because whichever direction they started in, they always ended back at it.
Which way shall we try now?
How would it be if as soon as we're out of sight of this pit, we try to find it again?
What's the good of that?
Well, we keep looking for home and not finding it. So I thought that if we looked for this pit, we'd be sure not to find it, which would be a good thing, because then we might find something that we weren't looking for, which might be just what we were looking for, really.
I don't see much sense in that. If I walked away from this pit and then walked back to it, of course we should find it.
Well, I thought perhaps you wouldn't.
Rabbit gave a laugh to show how silly Pooh was and walked into the mist. After he had gone 100 yards, he turned around and walked back again. And after 20 minutes, Pooh and Piglet waited for him, and Pooh got up and said,
Now then, Piglet, let's go home. There are 12 pots of honey in my cupboard, and they've been calling to me for hours. I couldn't hear them well before because Rabbit was talking, but if nobody says anything except those 12 pots, I shall know where they're calling from.
It turns out tigers don't get lost. He bounced his way home, and when he saw Rabbit was missing, he bounced right back out again, making yapping sounds all the way. And at last, very small and sorry Rabbit heard him. And the small and sorry Rabbit rushed through the mist at the noise, and suddenly it turned into Tigger, a friendly Tigger, a grand Tigger, a large and helpful Tigger, who bounced, if he bounced at all, in just the beautiful way a Tigger ought to bounce.
Oh, Tigger, I'm glad to see you.
And together they went home. So what is the lesson here? Was Tigger too much? Certainly there are things about ourselves that we need or want to change, but resisting our true nature and consumed with how we should be does not serve us. Along the way to usefulness and happiness, many of those things will actually change themselves. The first thing we need to do is recognize and trust our inner nature. For within the bouncy Tigger is the rescuer who knows the way, and in each of us, we have something special that makes us unique and serves humanity as only we can.
Oh, I guess Tigger is right after all.
Everybody is really.
Everybody is all right. Through the joyful bounces and the melancholy, we are divine perfection. Do we allow ourselves the grace of honoring all aspects of ourselves? Or are we missing a piece that perhaps we wish was different? When Eeyore lost his tail, who found it for him? Was it Clever Rabbit? No. He was busy doing clever things. Wise Owl? No. He didn't recognize it when he saw it. Eeyore? He didn't even realize it was missing until Pooh told him.
Eeyore, what's happened to your tail?
What has happened to it? I don't see it. Are you sure?
Well, either a tail is there, or it isn't there. You can't make a mistake about it, and yours isn't there.
Then what is? Nothing?
Eeyore turned slowly round to the place where his tail had been a little while ago, and finding that he couldn't catch it, he turned round the other way until he came back to where he was at first, and then he put his head down and looked between his front legs, and at last he said, with a long, sad sigh,
I believe you're right.
Of course I'm right.
That accounts for a good deal. It explains everything.
You must have left it somewhere.
Somebody must have taken it. How like them.
Eeyore, I, Winnie the Pooh, will find your tail for you.
Thank you, Pooh. You're a real friend. And then some.
And if anyone knows anything about anything, it's Owl who knows something about something, or my name's not Winnie the Pooh, which it is.
And so Pooh set off to see Owl. Hello, Pooh. How are things?
Terrible and sad because Eeyore, who is a friend of mine, has lost his tail and is moping about. Could you very kindly tell me how to find it for him?
Well, the customary procedure in such cases is as follows.
What does customony proceed cake mean? For I am a bear of very little brain, and long words bother me.
It means the thing to do.
As long as it means that, I don't mind.
The thing to do is as follows. First, issue a reward. Then...
Just a moment. What do we do? What were you saying? You sneezed just as you were telling me.
I didn't sneeze.
Yes, you did, Owl.
Excuse me, Pooh. I didn't. You can't sneeze without knowing it.
Well, you can't know it without something having been sneezed.
What I said was, first, issue a reward.
You're doing it again.
No. Not aju. Issue. Aju isn't even a word. Not getting anywhere with the sneezing and not sneezing, they went outside, and Pooh looked at the knocker and the bell rope, and the more he looked at the bell rope, the more he felt that he had seen something like it somewhere else sometime before. Handsome bell rope, isn't it?
It reminds me of something, but I can't think what. Where did you get it?
I came across it in the forest. It was hanging over a bush, and I thought at first somebody lived there, so I rang it, and nothing happened. And I rang it again, very loudly, and it came off in my hand. And as nobody seemed to want it, I took it home and...
Owl, you made a mistake. Somebody did want it.
Who?
Eeyore, my dear friend, Eeyore. He was fond of it.
Fond of it?
Attached to it.
And so Pooh returned Eeyore's tail, and after it had been put back in place, Eeyore felt much better. For a while, anyway. So how many times have we been attached to a part of our story, our tail, allowing it to define us? When we let our tails go, we can't feel naked and exposed, wanting the comfort of it swishing behind us, a constant reminder of what has happened to us. When we recognize our attachment and forgive ourselves and others, we can leave our tail behind and create a new story.
And so we come to Piglet, little Piglet, held back by imaginings and fears, yearning to be someone, the last animal one might expect to accomplish anything of importance. And yet Piglet is the material from which heroes are made. Unlike Pooh, who simply is and does, Piglet agonizes.
Hi. I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you see me?
Yes, Piglet, I can see you.
I know I am just a very small animal, and I don't add much to the story, but I wrote a poem for this occasion.
You did? That's wonderful. May we hear it?
There's not much you can be when you're not so very tall, and the life you long for is so high up, you can't reach it at all. What if I was bigger? What if I was tall? Think what I could accomplish then. But alas, I'm much too small.
Wow, that was very nice, Piglet, and I am so proud of you for reciting it. But you know it's not the truth of who you are.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you keep repeating that sort of thought, you'll just convince yourself that you're powerless. Isn't that why you feel so afraid?
Well, when you're only a very small animal,
If I might make a suggestion,
yes.
first of all, the fears that push you about are not true, appropriate responses to what is, such as warnings of danger ahead. Instead, they're fantasies of what if. What if I should meet a heffalump, or fall on my face, or make a fool of myself? Isn't that true?
Well, yes, I suppose so.
Piglet, there is a different way. The next time a what if starts badgering you, look it straight in the eyes and ask, all right, what's the very worst that can happen? And when it answers you, ask yourself, well, what can I do about it? There will always be something. Then you'll see that you can have the power in any situation. And when you realize that, the fears go away.
They will?
Especially when you understand where the power comes from. We are all very small animals in the grand scheme of things. And it's because you're a very small animal that you helped save the day so many times. You were on the expedition to the North Pole. You were brave enough to try to catch a heffalump. And you rescued Pooh an owl when his house fell down. Just because you're little does not mean you're small.
I never thought about it that way. I think I have a new verse to my poem.
Great, let's hear it.
Okay. Whenever I feel frightened, afraid that I might fall, I go inside and tell myself, Piglet, your heart is very tall. What if I had been bigger? What if I had been tall? I think of what I'd missed down here, and then I don't feel so small.
Much better. Well done, Piglet. More than any other character, Piglet grows and becomes more than he was in the first place. And in the end, he does this not by denying his smallness, but by using it for the good of others. He accomplishes what he does without ego. In the West, bigger is better. But in Taoist philosophy, it is the virtue of the small that is celebrated. When we eliminate interference from our ego, the energy of the universal way can flow through us unimpeded. How would you sum it up, Pooh?
With a poem.
Of course.
An ode to Piglet and all very small animals. Animals so shy and small, dreaming you were bold and tall, you hesitate, all sensitive, waiting for a chance to live. Time is swift, it races by, opportunities are born and die. Still, you wait and will not try, a bird with wings who dares not fly. But that you want to see is not you and will never be. No one else will ever do the special things inside of you. You can be a guiding star if you make the most of who you are. And the sensitivity that you're now ashamed to see can be developed even more so you can find the hidden door to places no one's been before. And the pride you feel inside is not the kind that makes you fall. It's the kind that recognizes the bigness found in being small.
Pooh, that was quite eloquent. You always know the way.
In the morning sunshine, in the evening twilight, a small bear travels through a forest. Why did we follow him when we were so much younger? He is, after all, a silly old bear of little brain. Is it really brain that takes us to where we need to go? Or is it all too often brain that sends us off in the wrong direction, following the echo of the wind in the treetops, which we think is real, rather than listening to the voice within us that tells us which way to turn?
A brain can do all kinds of things, But the things it can do are not the most important things. Abstract cleverness of mind only separates the thinker from the world of reality. And that world, the forest of real life, is in a desperate condition now because too many of us who think too much and care too little.
In spite of what many minds have thought themselves into believing, that mistake cannot continue for much longer. The one chance we have is to change our approach and to learn to value wisdom and contentment. These are the things being searched for through knowledge and cleverness, but they do not come from there. They never have and they never will. We can no longer afford to look so desperately hard for something in the wrong way and in the wrong place.
The masters of life know the way, for they listen to the voice within them, the voice of wisdom and simplicity, the voice that reasons beyond cleverness and knows beyond knowledge. That voice is not just the power and property of a few, but has been given to everyone. Those who pay attention to it are too often treated as exceptions to the rule, rather than as examples of the rule in operation, a rule that can apply to anyone who makes use of it.
And so within each of us, there is an owl. Within each of us, there is a rabbit, there is an Eeyore, and there is a poo. For too long, we have chosen the way of owl and rabbit, trying to think our way out of fear and into happiness. And then, like Eeyore, complaining about the results we get. But there is a different way, the Tao of poo, the way, the uncarved block, the Wu way. And we appreciate and we learn from and work with whatever happens in our everyday life, the natural result will always be happiness. When we discard our arrogance, complexity, sooner or later we will discover that simple, childlike, and mysterious secrets known to those of the uncarved block, that life can be fun again. And so, as promised, I hope that this evening was an evening to not only have some childlike fun. It was wonderful to see the kids running around and experiencing it and reliving some old stories. But I hope that the child in each of us was able to dig maybe into the playground of your mind and your heart and your soul and suspend all those things that really don't take us home. Enlightenment will never be found in the over-complexities of life. The life that we are living today and the world that we are in, there's a lot of complexities, aren't there? There's a lot of reasons to be like Eeyore and to complain. There's a lot of reasons to gather in groups and to think our way to a solution. There's a lot of ways where we can scurry around trying to figure out why life isn't working. But perhaps we need to be an uncarved block and simply sit where we are, as we are right now. Be one with the nature, breathe, be okay with who we are, and allow humility and compassion to take us to the place we want to go. I hope that we have another great poem. Richard Croker is going to come back up here, but he's got his granddaughter, Zoe, with him. But if this had value to you, I think Brandy or Diane, I'm not sure who's going to have Nicole is going to have the basket. And she's, as you drive out, if this had value to you and you would like to see more programs like this, I don't know about you, I'd love to be outside every Wednesday night. Pretty wonderful. We will be indoors the next 4 Wednesday nights, and I want to let you know that we are doing exactly what we have talked about doing here. We're going to be being the center of peace. We have an election coming up, and there's a lot of rabbits running around. And I was listening to the news today. There's a lot of owls and a lot of rabbits, and a lot of compassion is what's needed right now. So let's, if this has value, to channel your inner piglet and your inner poo, I invite you to just place a donation in the basket. Again, gratitude to all the people who participated here tonight, the team led by Julie that put this all together this evening, and for the food and all the people behind the scenes that were helping. We're so incredibly grateful. We have some balloons you want to do something with, right?
We do. We have another poem that we're gonna have by Richard Croker and Zoe, his granddaughter. So we're gonna switch from the spirituality back to sort of the frivolity to end the night. So you got in your bags a balloon. Now I want to tell you, they were hermetically sealed. I used gloves. They were not touched, but they are LED balloons. So if you get them out of your bag and pull the little stem out and blow them up, they're gonna light up, and we're gonna have 45, 50 balloons, and we're gonna sing the Winnie the Pooh theme song, and the lyrics for that are on the back of your map. But for now, I wanna invite Zoe, I think this mic will work for you, up. It's so good to see you, and her grandpa Richard Croker to lead us in Now We Are Six.
When I was 1.
I had just begun.
When I was 2.
I was still brand new.
When I was 3.
I was not yet me.
When I was 4.
I was not much more.
When I was 5.
I was just alive.
When
When I was 6, now I'm 6, and clever is clever, and I want to stay 6 forever and ever. And now she's 9 and she's just fine.
And I think we're gonna have them back for Christmas stuff. So we have a lot going on for Christmas too. So is everybody out there balloons? I see some starting to light up. Richard, why don't we just do the chorus of this, just the Winnie the Pooh part. So if the cast wants to come up with their lyrics and everybody come up socially distant, I guess. And if you guys want to stand up, dance around, if the kids want to come up. Does everybody know that song? Winnie the Pooh. Where are my singers? Where's my Honey Reuben, where are you with your Tigger song? Yeah, she knows it. So get your balloons if you want. Thank you to the King of Pops also for coming. We're going to have them back as well, I believe. And so we just appreciate you coming out for these zany ideas.
And a rumor has it that it's really good bedtime snack, so if you want to grab another pop on the way out of here.
And the book I wanted to just mention, The Tao of Pooh and the Tame Piglet, a lot of us have read, and it's Benjamin Hoff. So if you're interested in some of what was talked about tonight, you can get those books. But, so let's go with the Winnie the Pooh part. Ready? Let's all, with our kids in us, one last time with our balloons. Ready? Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, chubby little tummy all stuffed with fluffies. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, willy-nilly silly old bear. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, chubby little tummy all stuffed with fluffies. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, willy-nilly silly old bear. Thank you so much.
I want to just give grateful thanks to the respectful distances that have been between us today. We are going live. We are going to be back in the sanctuary starting this Sunday. We are taking reservations, and some of you here have reservations. Whether we stay open or we close back up will be dependent on how respectful we are to each other and how we respect the rules that Unity North has put out to make sure that we are all safe. So I hope that I'll see you. You got to reserve for the Wednesday nights and the Sundays coming up. But please get your name on the list quick, because we filled up really quickly for this coming Sunday. So you'll have to get into the room by signing up for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Thanks again for being here. Please see Nicole on the way out. Know how grateful I am for you letting your inner child out to play tonight. Have a good night, everybody.
If anybody wants to walk the labyrinth, I'll leave the flames on. You can do one more round.